And the other thing is, too, those three guys, the Tillman, Cornette, and Cada, they're going to be relied upon, as I mentioned earlier. And you can't play Tillman like Al Horford. I'm sick of seeing it. It worked in one finals game. That's awesome. Stop doing it. He's not the guy who he was in Memphis. He's not playing like it right now. I text it all the time, and it drives me nuts. Because if you watched him in Memphis and if you watched him at Michigan State, it's like a totally different guy than you're seeing right now in Boston. And he looks terrible in this role. And I understand that if it's a project that this is going to be a slow build and eventually is going to turn into Al Horford, I'll be the first one with my hand up and apologize. But I just think it's kind of bizarre that you're having this guy who had a totally different skill set kind of audition to be the next Al Horford. I just think that's objectively weird.
Although
it's the look. It's like you really need
that's
glasses
half of it,
sometimes.
I guess.
You need glasses sometimes to go, wait a minute, is it Al Horford or Tillman out here? I can't really tell. Sorry, go ahead, Justin.
It's like when it comes to Tillman and like Horford, it's like usually you can identify the player not only off their looks, but like just off the number. It feels like I just totally ignore the jersey number when Tillman and Horford are on the court together. I can't tell the difference between the two. But would it be dumb of me to suggest that if you're not going to play Xavier Tillman, send him down to Maine? Would that be dumb?
I think
you're not going to, if you're not
to do that.
Yeah, he's a little too old. A little too old.
I mean, even just to practice with the guy. I mean, if the guy's just going to sit on the bench, I don't think he's too old at all. How old is he?
He's 25.
I think he's too tenured.
Right, he's not too old. Like what Xavier said,
or Malik Beasley, Michael Beasley in the NBA somewhere. I think
if you send him to Maine to just be Al Horford, be my guest. If the idea is you're going to send him down there every night, all he's going to do is shoot corner threes and distribute. I guess go ahead.
Yeah,
but if he's just going to be the guy that was a defensive menace who gave Anthony Davis fits in a playoff series with Memphis, and just send him down to the G League to be that guy, I don't see what the point is, because he could be that guy with Boston. You just don't play him like that, and it's annoying.
What's his career 3-point percentage? 20.
He never took them at Michigan State or in Memphis. It's not good. Whatever it is, it's terrible. I can tell you that right now.
I look at the highlights, and I'll never forget the highlights coming into Boston, and everybody posts, "Oh, welcome to Boston, Xavier Tillman." It's all him dominating in the paint. It's all him down low.
Yes.
All him blocking shots and an undersized center, yet with a great wingspan and a great sense of physicality and awareness down low. And then you look at it, and he's sitting in the corner outside, stretching the floor, missing wide open corner threes.
So yeah, we career wise, he's 26.2% for his career.
And all he does is stand in the corner.
This season, he's 20% this season. So 1 out of every 5 threes he's hitting this season. That's not great. Not great at all.
I feel as if it's also lowered his confidence when he because when he gets, and I tell this to Rob all the time, and I really like Xavier Tillman, and I do believe in Xavier Tillman, but the role in which he's playing with this team, you're right, Xavier, it's totally the opposite of what he played just last year in Memphis. I say this to Rob all the time. I'm like, Xavier Tillman, when he gets in the lane, he's going a million miles an hour. I mean, he can't even bounce the ball. He can't even catch the ball down in the paint. It's just he's wild with it. And you did not see that in Memphis. He was comfortable because that's where he was. Now he's playing that perimeter ball, trying to space the floor for the Celtics, and it's just not working out when he's in there. And it turns out to be a very negative thing for Boston. And I hate to be so critical and hateful on him, but that's just the reality of it.
It's not his fault, yeah.
See, there is this false sense that he is a perimeter big, although we've put him in the corner and he's leaked out to the corner a million times. And game 3, he did hit crucial 3-point shots from beyond the arc there. However, if you really look at the full sample size of Xavier Tillman, yes, he can be a good 3-point shooter in small samples, but the large sample is really what's to be looked at in basketball players. And here, more stats for you guys here. So freshman year at Michigan State, which was 17-18, right? Played 35 games. Now he only played 8 minutes per game. Didn't attempt a 3 all season. Doesn't even have a percentage. Didn't attempt a 3 despite playing 35 games. Again, only 8 minutes per game. But then the next 2 seasons, he shoots 29% from 3 in 39 games, and then 26% from 3 in 31 games. So that's his college resume. Now going to the NBA, I already gave his career and this season. I can't find his Memphis stats here because my computer just decided to crash on me. But you guys get the point here. Big sample size of Xavier Tillman, not exactly the greatest 3-point shooter. He's not even he hasn't shot above 30%. And we're really, it's not about shooting 30%. It's really, we want guys shooting 35, which is about the average. Yeah. And the average is kind of going up nowadays, like, 35, 36, 37. We want guys shooting at least average or better. And he's not even shooting 30%, much less this season. I mean, he's barely over 20 right now. So there is a little bit of a false sense of Xavier Tillman for sure being a perimeter-oriented player, and that's how we like to play him. And yes, the ideal scenario is, he's our next Al Horford, but Al Horford, he has a large sample size of being a pretty good 3-point shooter. Now, some of those numbers may have come down in the last couple of years considering Al's age and just general wear and tear on his body, and however the Celtics play in terms of who's actually shooting the ball at what given times and where those shots are coming from. But Xavier Tillman, I go back on Xavier's point of just consistent personnel in the lineup, period. I want to see Xavier Tillman. There are just too many moments where I just feel like his presence is random. I really do, because you think in certain spots, what are you using Xavier Tillman for exactly out there when you have Keita, when you have Cornet? And this is almost one of those half-baked ideas where you're going, wait a minute, where you start talking about it and go, is Xavier Tillman maybe trade bait at the deadline? I'm not saying we're going to fetch a whole bunch out of him, but maybe there's another player out there we could swap him for salary-wise that would fit a little bit better within the rotation, because I really do feel like his presence on the court is simply random when you have these other bigs, whether it's Porzingis. Now this year, of course, Porzingis missed a lot of time. Give him that right there. But you have Porzingis, you have Horford out there as your perimeter-oriented bigs, and then you have Cornet and Keita, who are not so much perimeter-oriented. They're more interior-oriented bigs. It's like, where does Xavier Tillman fit into that rotation? He's your fifth. I shouldn't say he's your fifth big if you're the Celtics, but in terms of all the bigs, feels like they've been using Keita and Cornet more consistently than they have Tillman this year. And I would just like to see Tillman actually carve out a consistent spot on this team, even if it's, he's playing 5 minutes, he's playing 7 minutes, he's playing here or there, but we're using him for a specific purpose in this particular way. Feels like, yes, we'll use him 5 to 7 minutes, 8 minutes, might get 10 minutes on a night, but those opportunities will come few and far between. And that's just, I don't necessarily understand it.
Gets cooked on the perimeter too. I haven't been the biggest fan. I shouldn't say I haven't been the biggest fan of Xavier Tillman's. I haven't been a biggest fan of Xavier Tillman's role this year. And I mean, I'm sure he's doing the best he can at this role. This is a very new thing for him, but it's kind of interesting how like the Celtics have handled their backup big guys. Where like coming into Boston, Luke Cornet was strictly like this stretch five, like shoots the lights out from distance. Like I believe he's NCAA's best shooting big man from behind the arc. I believe he was. And then Xavier Tillman, post-dominant basketball player down low, comes in, and now he's playing that stretch big role, and it's not working out well for him. And Luke Cornet's more of that inside presence. Hasn't attempted a 3 in 2 years. I think he took maybe one last year, and he drilled it in Milwaukee. But it's kind of interesting to see how Boston's handled those big men situations.
Well, just add on here, Xavier Tillman, he's only shot over 30% once in one season in his NBA career. That was his rookie year. He shot 33%. All of the other years, he's been below 30%. But guys, guess what? He's 100% from three in the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
Crazy enough. 100%. That's where we get the narratives from. And all it takes is one good playoff run. All it takes is a couple good games. All it takes really Game 3 in the NBA Finals to think, Xavier Tillman from three. Yeah, it's going to work. But 100% from three in the playoffs. Other than that, pretty much below 30% 3-point shooter. Not great at all. Not great.